For weeks, he was tracking her every move, watching where she went and who she was with. And then the unthinkable happened. This is the disturbing case of Stanley Zeliga. Hello, friend, and welcome to High Time Crime. My name's Joel, and on here I specialize in true crime and also BMXing. I'm a natural. But today, we're going to go over the case of Stanley Zeliga and his terrible behavior. You're going to learn how awful of a person he is. For our story today, we're heading over to Fort Worth, Texas. With a population of around 892,000 people, it's the 5th largest city in the state. It was established in 1849 as an army outpost and has historically been the center of the Texas Longhorn cattle trade. If you find yourself in town, well, you're in luck because there's a bunch of things to do. You could go to the Fort Worth indoor skydiving experience and see how that is. You could go to the Fort Worth Zoo, which is the oldest in the state, and see over 7,000 different types of animals. Or you could possibly visit one of the many museums located in the area and just have a grand old time. But that's not why we're there today. Abigail Saldaña was born on February 4th of 1999 in Wichita Falls to Mario Saldaña and Jessica Contreras. Not too much is known about her childhood, but she moved to Fort Worth, Texas sometime in early adulthood. I believe that she either dated or was dating a man named Brian Perez, and together they had a son named Joseph J. Abigail was 22 years old at the time and liked to go by Abby, so that's what we'll refer to her as from here on out. Abby was a hardworking young woman who loved music, makeup, and she was very into fashion. She worked 3 jobs. She was an esthetician, a bartender, and she also had a secret job, an exotic dancer. Specifically, she worked at a place called Rick's Cabaret, which is a gentleman's club, and this comes into play a bit later into the story also. Please do not comment down below that she was an awful person and deserves what happened to her because she did this and did that. Your opinion sucks and it's not needed. We'll just leave it at that. But in October of 2021, Abby started to feel like someone was watching her, stalking her to be exact. She told her mom Jessica about this and she said, go to the police department. Jessica believes that she did report it. On October 14th, Abby posted a video to Instagram after she found a tracking device underneath of her car. The caption read, "Check under your cars, ladies. This is no joke, and sometimes you think it will never be you."
But this was literally on my car like this. This is why you have to be careful. I don't really know what to do moving forward with this, but this definitely looks like a tracker to me. All right. So this is so crazy, you guys. So crazy. Like, who would do this? It says sell.
12 days later, on October 26th, the worst thing imaginable happened. At about 8:40 p.m., police responded to a 911 call from a frantic person. They said they saw a silver sedan speeding and then driving off the exit ramp into a grassy area next to the road. This person then approached the vehicle and told the police that it appeared to have bullet holes in the side and had a young woman inside that was unresponsive. Medical responders would soon arrive, and they announced her dead at the scene from gunshot wounds. Her passport revealed who it was, and it was Abby Saldana. A homicide detective then gained control of the investigation, and when he got to the scene, he saw that the vehicle appeared to have been shot 3 times. And then him and another detective found 3 shell casings and broken glass at the intersection of Amon Carter Boulevard and Highway 183. This is where they believe that Abby was at when this fatal occurrence took place. Underneath of her car, they found another tracking device, pretty much identical to the first one, and this explains how she was tracked down. The detectives noticed she had clothing in her car that looked like it would be worn by exotic dancers like those at Rick's Cabaret. They thought this because it was one of the closest clubs to the scene. So they then drove over to Rick's and had a chat with the manager. They found out some incredibly interesting things, and this will explain everything. First, the manager said that yes, Abby was an active employee of the establishment, but she didn't work that day. The manager then explained that Abby had recently been harassed by a customer that was only known as Stan. The manager knew Stan was a military veteran, but there wasn't really much else to go on. The manager then showed the police Abby's Instagram and the post that she made on October 14th about the tracker. Next, the manager said that Abby was afraid of Stan because he was stalking her and harassing her. Finally, the manager showed the detectives Stan's Instagram posts, and boy, are they wild. But before we see those, we gotta figure out who Stan is. His whole name is Stanley Frank Zeliga, and he was born on April 6th of 1967 in Chicago, Illinois. His early life is nowhere to be found, but I believe he was a Marine, as for both of his Instagram accounts and Facebook account have this as their profile picture. Yes, I said both of his Instagram accounts, as for some reason he had two. In the early 90s till about 2014, he lived in California, but then he decided to move to Irving, Texas. He was married to a woman named Tammy Sanguinette, and together they had a son. Stan was a 54-year-old software engineer and also a huge loser. He visited Rick's Cabaret all the time and began an unhealthy obsession with Abby because I guess he just saw her a lot or something. By unhealthy obsession, I mean he was stalking her, tracking her, and doing everything that you shouldn't do to a person. Stan was a frequent user of Instagram, and the police found this out because of the manager at Rick's Cabaret, as I said before. His early posts before he went off the wall were very cringy. It looked like something your grandmother would post. Or maybe one of those motivational Instagram accounts. I don't know, it's one of the two. It might even be both. For example, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the next. And also, staying positive does not mean that things will turn out okay. Rather, it is knowing that you will be okay no matter how things turn out. Really put a tear to my eye. So motivating. But his positive post really took a turn for the worse on October 17th, 3 days after Abby found the tracker on her car. Stan posted this to Instagram with the caption, "Folks, always verify that the receipt given to you at a club or bar is correct. Mine was incorrect. I still signed. I never thought I'd be one of those guys to be taken advantage of. Sharing for awareness. Abigail S. and I, since July 2021, we have been enjoying each other's company. She's so beautiful and personable that I envisioned a future with her. But dealing with all the lies is overwhelming. I realize that's part of your primary job as an adult entertainer, but leave it at the club. If you only leave your second job, being in a high-end prostitution ring, we could move forward. Yes, this pays $2,000 per session, but it's illegal. And having a boyfriend whilst having sex with other men? It's very clear that Stan had started to become obsessed and possessive over Abby. Part of the reason for this is because they began relations in exchange for money. Stan would pay Abby thousands of dollars to, you know, and then afterwards he would text her probably way too many times because he was clingy. Not only that, he genuinely, in his mind, began to believe that the two of them were meant to be together and actually be a thing. He didn't think that him giving her money had anything to do with their relationship. Oh, brother, this guy is dumb. Stan began to try and out Abby for liking people's photos on Instagram and was just doing weird teenage-like stalker behavior that was incredibly off-putting. He also started claiming and showing that all his payments to Abby were for related activities. She texted him this on October 21st, and he posted it on Instagram with the caption, "A woman that can be bought isn't worth having." Abby said, "You actually thought I liked you? I never liked you. You're a trick to everyone. Leave me alone. If you're not going to pay me, then we have nothing to talk about. So I don't care what you post about me. If you want to come back to Rick's, I will have to talk to the managers for you. But you have to bring $3K for me." Then Stan replied by saying, "You just admitted to being a prostitute. Trick. Any man who lets women use him for his wallet. It comes from the term prostitute used to describe the men who pay them for sex." So obviously Abby had zero interest in Stan, and he just couldn't grasp this. But one of his last Instagram posts was another cringy motivational statement that said, "Do not get upset with people or situations. both are powerless without your reaction. And it's like, dude, take your own advice. What a hypocrite. So now we're back at Rick's Cabaret, and the manager gave the detective Stan's number, and they were also able to get his address. They figured out he owned a red Ford F-150, and that his truck was photographed at Midway Road and McElwain Road at about 8:22 p.m. on October 26th, which is about 17 miles from the crime scene. So in other words, Stan was following Abby for at least 17 miles before he took her life. It was also proved that he was stalking her, and that his truck had been around her house at least 5 times in 12 days before October 26th. The detectives called Stan, and he agreed to meet with them the next day on October 27th at 5:30 p.m. When that time came, he was a no-show, and so the detectives were able to obtain a search warrant, and at about 11:37 p.m., the Fort Worth SWAT team raided his apartment. He caused self-inflicting wounds all over his face and his neck, and he needed medical attention, but here's some footage of that from afar. Stanley Frank Zeliga was then charged with the offense of murder. He's currently locked up in the Tarrant County Jail on a $250,000 bond. Why is he on bond? Abby's mother, Jessica, had a pretty touching interview that really says a lot about her and the situation.
Abby Saldana was a single mom, a dancer, and she was open she was about to open her own salon. She was just 22 when an obsessed man murdered her. Now her mom, Jessica, is speaking out. Jessica, I can't even formulate the words. Our producer was just briefing me on your entire story, and I know this is so recent. My heart goes to you. Thank you for joining us to talk about Abby. So tell us about your daughter. Why did she move to Fort Worth? Let's start there.
She wanted the big city, and she wanted just, more action. She had no fear. So when she decided she was going to move, she did that move, and she made it.
Jessica, so many of us have followed Abby's story on social media, and so we know that when Abby found a GPS tracker on her car, which is alarming, what did she do?
She was shocked. She did report it to the authorities. I just don't know where, in what county that happened. And I know that she posted that on Instagram, which was her bravery to put it out there.
My God, that is so scary. People are telling everybody now, I saw check your cars for GPS trackers. That's a real thing now. How were you able to help police in the investigation?
Well, on my end, I'm in the legal field. So whenever I got the call, that all I did was get the call that, this had happened to Abby. So that was all that I knew. I knew nothing else. And because a friend, Abby had taken a picture of the license plate and sent that to a friend. That friend sent it to my son, my oldest son. And that day that I found out what had happened, I immediately went to work. I built the case because of the field that I'm in. A great friend of mine is a private investigator, and we went right into work mode. We researched, pulled up the license plate, all of the information.
Wow.
We pulled up the information on the tracking device, And it was all leading back to the one same individual.
Can I just ask you to just describe Abby for us and tell us what she was like? I just want to hear what you remember and what you miss.
She was beautiful, inside and out. She was a great mother, a great daughter. She loved her siblings, and she helped everyone. You know, she helped, and she was a good mom. That's why she left. She wanted she wanted to do better. She was working on her goals. You know, she wanted to get into the eyebrows and the makeup, and she was excited because she had just bought her table to do all of this, and that was her goal, is to get her studio going. And I have no doubt that she wouldn't have done that. She was working on that. She was saving her money for this. She was looking forward to having her business. And the thing about is to be the voice. You know, Abby's no longer here with us, but her mother's here, and I'm going to be her voice, her advocate, an advocate for other women that are going through this.
Amen. You are fearless. Our thoughts are with you. You're right next to all of our hearts here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on here, for having the courage to tell us about Abby's story. We appreciate you.
But Abigail, or Abby Saldaña, was a bright and happy young woman who had her entire life ahead of her. She had dreams of opening up her own salon and was considered a blessing to everyone she came in contact with, and it said that her mere presence would light up a room. Her laughter was contagious and uplifting, and she's clearly very missed by those closest to her. I hope that she's resting peacefully and enjoying the life afterwards. She left behind a 5-year-old boy who's now being taken care of by her mom, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. As for Stanley Zeliga, just yikes. I really don't have much to say about him. What he did was awful, and he ruined many lives for no reason at all. What a sack of shit. But anyways, thank you for watching this episode of High Time Crime. If true crime is your thing, then please subscribe and hit the like button, because that's all we do. I also have a second account with my brother named Horrifying, where we tell stories about everything paranormal. This includes true crime, mysteries, and things that are just downright spooky. I'd greatly appreciate if you subscribe to that too. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, friend.